on Christmas Eve in 1945. In the quaint town of Fayetteville, West Virginia, a chill permeated the winter air as the Sodder family nestled into their home. George and Jennie Sodder, immigrants from Italy, had built a life steeped in hard work and a promise of a better future. The holiday season had arrived, casting a spell on their household. A close-knit family of 12 reveled in the joyous moments Christmas Eve has brought. The laughter of children, the aroma of a festive feast, and the glow of Christmas lights illuminated the night. Little did they know that this evening would transform into a haunting mystery that would linger for decades. Hello and welcome to Haunted. Today we are talking about the Sodder children disappearance. A family of 12 who experienced a horrific event on Christmas Eve, 1945. Around the table, George and Jennie shared glances filled with pride as their children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jennie, Betty, George Jr., John, and the youngest, Sylvia and Marion, celebrated the spirit of Christmas with boundless energy. Their oldest, Joseph, was off fighting in World War II. Little did they suspect that the joyous laughter echoing through their home would be replaced by the crackling of flames, and the festive glow would give way to the cold, relentless darkness of an unsolved mystery. George Sodder, born Giorgio Sodder, Sardinia, Italy, 1895. George's early life in Italy had been marked by hardship and the struggles of a changing world. At the age of 13, he embarked on a journey across the Atlantic seeking a better life in America. Like many immigrants of his time, George faced the daunting task of assimilating into a new culture while preserving the traditions of his homeland. In West Virginia, George met and married Jennie Caprani, another Italian immigrant, and together they built a life centered around family and hard work. Their home in Fayetteville became a hub of love, laughter, and shared dreams. George, a man of strong convictions, found success as an entrepreneur. He established a trucking and hauling business, contributing to the local community's growth. However, his outspoken views on politics, particularly his criticism of Mussolini's fascist regime in Italy, could later play a role in the mysterious events that unfolded. Sitting in front of the fire in their home, in that sacred space between the ticking clock and the exchanging of gifts, the Sodders basked in the togetherness that made their family complete. At about 10 p.m., Jennie told her younger children that they were allowed to stay up past their bedtime, under the supervision of her two older boys. A couple hours later, as the clock struck midnight and the embers of the fireplace grew dim, the Sodder family reluctantly retired to their beds, unaware that the tranquility of their home was about to be shattered. The quietude of the night was ended by a phone ringing at roughly 12:30, where Jennie woke up and went to answer it. The caller, a woman who Jennie was not familiar with, was asking for someone that Jennie didn't know, someone who didn't live at the house at least. This was unusual for Jennie, so she ended up taking mental notes of what was on the other end of the call. Things such as what could possibly have sounded like a Christmas party, people laughing and talking, something she couldn't understand, or the clinking of glasses. But since this was someone that Jennie didn't know, she politely told her that she had the wrong number and hung up the phone. When asked about this phone call later, Jennie could vividly remember the distinct laugh that this woman had. She described it as weird. About 30 minutes later, like 1 a.m., Jennie awoke to another loud sound. It was a bang followed by a rolling sound. Silence quickly followed, and Jennie thought nothing of it and quickly went back to sleep. Another 30 minutes later, Jennie woke up again to the smell of smoke. She went to investigate and found that her husband's office was completely engulfed in flames. She quickly rushed back to her bedroom and woke up George. The flames grew into an inferno, quickly engulfing the house. Chaos erupted, smoke billowed, and the strong scent of burning wood filled the air. Panic set in as George, Jennie, and the 4 children, John, George Jr., Marion, and Sylvia, struggled through the smoke-filled corridors of their house, clawing their way towards safety. In the midst of this relentless onslaught, a dreadful realization struck. Their family was incomplete. 5 of the children were still missing. Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jennie, and Betty. Of course, the family tried to get their children out, but each attempt was unsuccessful. Marion ended up running to a neighbor's house to call the fire department. George, still barefoot, ran back to the house and attempted to climb the outside wall, smashing a window towards the attic, but that attempt was also unsuccessful. There was nothing they could do except watch their house burn to the ground with their remaining children still inside. The distant wails of sirens marked the arrival of the fire brigade, a valiant effort to quell the relentless blaze. As the fire was put out, the 5 children were still nowhere to be found. The remnants of this once joyous home stood as a reminder of the events that altered the Sodder family forever. The small community of Fayetteville rallied around the Sodder family, offering their condolences and support. Yet, within the collective sorrow, the question lingered: what happened to the missing Sodder children? The investigation that followed was a desperate attempt to unravel the mystery. Officials combed through the ashes, searching for any trace, but the answers remained elusive, as if swallowed by the very darkness that consumed the Sodder home. In the wake of the fire, the Sodder family confronted not only the ashes of their home, but a formidable wall of official silence. Unwilling to accept the narrative that their children perished in the flames, George and Jennie Sodder embarked on a journey marked by defiance and determination. Their first confrontation with the authorities was met by skepticism and resistance. Officials say that the missing children had succumbed to the flames, a theory that the Sodders disputed. Refusing to be silenced, George and Jennie presented a compelling case. How could a fire of such intensity leave no trace of their children's remains? Their questions echoed through the corridors of bureaucracy, demanding answers that remained elusive. Undeterred by official roadblocks, the Sodder family began their own investigations. They revisited the site of the fire, meticulously re-examined the events of the tragic night, and sought out witnesses who might provide overlooked details. In an act of public defiance, the Sodder family put up a billboard along Route 16, bearing images of their missing children and a plea for information. It stood as a stark reminder that for the Sodders, the case was far from closed. The relentless pursuit of truth came at a cost. The Sodders not only faced the challenges of their own investigation, but also the skepticism of the public unwilling to accept the baffling mystery that exists in their town. Undaunted, the Sodder family enlisted the help of private investigators to delve deeper into the mystery. Together, they chased leads, explored alternative theories, and relentlessly sought out any shred of evidence that could shed light on the fate of the children that went missing. The Sodder family's quest for justice had transformed into a battle against a formidable mystery. They clung to the belief that somewhere in the labyrinth of unanswered questions, the truth waited for them, that they would find their children. But 4 days after the fire, George and Jennie couldn't stand what happened to their home and their children. So George ended up bulldozing the site, covering it with dirt and hoping to turn it into a memorial garden for his children. Local investigators stated that officially the cause of the fire was faulty wiring. On December 30th, death certificates were issued to the missing children, without any evidence that they were actually dead. However, local news sources claimed that only part of one body was actually recovered, although it was never identified who it belonged to. And a funeral was held on January 2nd, only attended by the surviving children. George and Jennie, the parents, could not attend. They were too grief-stricken. As the Sodder case gained notoriety, many believed the truth lay hidden beneath the surface. Alleged sightings and whispers of mysterious circumstances wove a tapestry of uncertainty around the fate of the missing children. Rumors, like ghosts in the night, circulated the community. Some claimed to have seen the children in distant towns living under assumed identities. Others spoke of a secretive network that hid the truth behind a veil of silence. But this is where it gets interesting, because further developments found that the fire was in fact set on purpose. On the night in question, not too far away, a motorist was passing by and saw someone standing outside the Sodder home, holding what looked like, and he described as, balls of fire. The motorist proceeded into town to call the authorities. His first stop was at a tavern, but either he was unable to get through to the operator or the phone was just busted. He later then found another working phone and called the authorities. As investigators pursued unconventional leads, the Sodder case evolved into a labyrinth of possibilities. Was the fire a smokescreen for a calculated disappearance, or did unseen forces conspire to hide the truth from those seeking answers? The main theory of what happened was that the Sicilian mafia was involved. They were trying to extort money from George because they found out that he might have set the fire himself as a planned arson case. But that just brings the question, what happened to the missing children? Could the mafia have brought them back to Italy? This would corroborate the claims that, in fact, some people saw the missing children. One claim was between Fayetteville and Charleston, where a waitress claimed that she served them breakfast, but nothing grew any further of that. Theories may have woven a web of mystery, but the Sodder family story seemed to defy resolution. As time passed, the Sodder family mystery transcended the confines of its historical moment. The echoes of that fateful Christmas Eve continued to resonate, leaving an indelible mark on the Sodder family and the collective consciousness. The iconic billboard along Route 16, weathered by the years, stood as a silent testament to a family's relentless pursuit of justice. It endured a plea for information, a beacon summoning forth the truth that continued to elude them. The Sodder family mystery became the subject of many documentaries, investigations, and ongoing discussions. Historians, armchair detectives, and curious minds delve into the labyrinth of clues and theories. Each attempt to unravel the mystery adds yet another layer to its mystique. The Sodders, a family forever changed by tragedy, transformed their anguish into a quest for awareness. They became advocates for missing children, amplifying their own sorrow to shine a spotlight on a pervasive issue that touched countless lives. Attending memorial events, the Sodder family forged connections with others who shared the burden of loss. In their shared grief, a community emerged, one bounded by the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to give up and continue searching for answers. With heavy hearts yet unbowed, they continue their journey. The legacy of the missing children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jennie, and Betty, endures, not just as missing pieces of a family puzzle, but as symbols of endurance in the face of life's greatest mysteries. So, what are your thoughts on the Sodder family mystery? Share in the comments below what you think happened to the missing children. Could it have been that they were taken away by the mob, or is it something else entirely? Don't forget to like and subscribe to Haunted for more paranormal cases and true crime. Thank you for watching, and happy holidays.